My new dwelling, a small, forgotten apartment nested deep within the rookery, was a testament to time's indifference. Located in Oakhaven, a district whispered about in hushed tones, it was a place where gaslight flickered against perpetual twilight, and the air always carried the scent of damp stone and something else, something ancient and unnameable. I, Arthur Finch, a young scholar seeking quiet solitude for my esoteric studies, had unwittingly stumbled into a different kind of solitude entirely. My nearest neighbor was a woman known only as Eleanor Ashworth. Her door, perpetually shut, seemed to absorb light, casting a deeper shadow upon our shared landing. When I first moved in, my earnest, youthful disposition had compelled me to attempt cordiality. I'd offered her a portion of my freshly baked bread, or assistance with her infrequent grocery deliveries. Each time, a sliver of her door would open, revealing only a sliver of her face, pale, drawn, framed by wisps of gray hair, and a voice like rustling parchment would utter, "I am quite fine, young man." Truly it was her hands, though, that truly drew my attention. Even in those fleeting glimpses, I noticed their incessant tremor, a delicate, almost rhythmic vibration that belied her assurances of well-being. "Are you ill, Mrs. Ashworth?" I once ventured, a genuine concern in my voice. She flinched, the sliver of door shrinking further. "A touch of the ache, perhaps. Nothing to trouble yourself with, Mr. Finch." But the tremor remained, an unsettling undercurrent beneath her denials. Others in the rookery, withered residents with eyes that saw too much, spoke of her in low, conspiratorial whispers. "Old Eleanor," they'd hiss, "she's been keeping to herself for years. Some say it's a curse, others a penance." I dismissed it as village superstition, the morbid fascination of the isolated. Then came the silence. One morning, the telltale creak of her floorboards, usually audible through the thin walls, ceased. Days turned into a week. A faint, cloying scent began to seep from beneath her door, a smell not of decay, but of something stagnant, like water trapped too long in an old well. Concerns were raised. The constable called. He found her in her armchair, perfectly still, a look of profound, quiet relief etched upon her face. Her hands, finally, were at peace. The coroner declared it a natural passing, but the whispered fears in Oakhaven grew louder, thicker than the perpetual fog. They buried her swiftly, as per a note found among her few possessions, in the desolate churchyard beyond the village proper. A week after her passing, a peculiar urge led me to her abandoned apartment. The landlord, a stout man named Mr. Runspy, had granted me access to check for any personal items she might have wanted delivered before the cleanup crew arrived. The air inside was heavy, ancient, a mausoleum of quiet dread. As I surveyed the Spartan room, my gaze fell upon a withered fern in a clay pot, the only living thing she seemed to possess. As I lifted it, intending to give it some water, my fingers brushed against something hard and cold nestled beneath the soil, a tiny, ornate brass key. And then, just beneath it, a folded, yellow slip of parchment. The note was written in a shaky, almost indecipherable hand. The ink faded with time. My heart hammered as I deciphered the scrawled words. "To whosoever finds this, I beg of you, let me be buried swiftly. Do not delay. And this thing, it must be contained. Never opened. Burn the box, burn it with me, if you can. It is a malady, an inheritance. My burden is lifted. Do not assume it." My blood ran cold. Malady. Inheritance. The tremor in her hands suddenly made a terrifying kind of sense. My eyes swept the small apartment again, seeking what the key might unlock. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard in the corner, concealed by a threadbare rug, I found it, a small, intricately carved wooden box. no larger than my hand. It was fashioned from a dark, unfamiliar wood, its surface smooth, unsettlingly warm to the touch. Faint, swirling patterns adorned its lid, like ancient runes with the twisted branches of a skeletal tree. The brass key slipped into the lock with a soft click, a sound that reverberated through the suffocating silence of the room like a death knell. With trembling fingers, I lifted the lid and gasped. Inside, nestled on a bed of dried, brittle moss, was not a jewel, nor a relic, but a thing of abject horror. It was a grotesque, fleshy organ, no larger than a child's fist, its surface a mottled palette of sickly greens and purples, crisscrossed by a network of pulsating, translucent veins. It seemed to breathe, a slow, wet expansion and contraction that filled the box with a faint, putrid odor, like old blood mixed with swamp water. My stomach churned. It was alive, disturbingly, obscenely alive. As I recoiled, my hand accidentally brushed against the edge of the box. The creature inside, as if sensing my presence, stirred. Two tiny, lifeless black pinpricks, like obsidian shards, opened upon its surface, fixating on me with an intelligence that shattered my sanity. Before I could even scream, it lunged, not with speed, but with a horrifying, deliberate slithering motion, squeezing itself out of the box. A sickening, viscous sound accompanied its progress. It landed on my outstretched wrist with the wet smack of a slime. As searing, unimaginable pain shot through my arm as countless tiny, needle-sharp tendrils erupted from its underside, burrowing into my skin, anchoring it to my flesh. I screamed, a raw, primal sound, shaking my hand violently, tearing at the repulsive mass with my other hand. But it clung, impossibly, fiercely. The tendrils burrowed deeper, a sensation of living roots intertwining with my veins, my muscle, my very bone. The mottling on its surface began to darken, to melt with the power of my own skin. Then the true horror dawned. Eleanor's note. My burden was lifted. Do not assume it. She wasn't just ill. She was a carrier. And now I was the next link in this abhorrent chain. The creature pulsed, its rhythmic contractions mirroring the frantic beat of my own heart. A phantom tremor began in my fingers, mirroring Eleanor's affliction. I stared at the grotesque attachment, the thing that was slowly becoming a part of me, and a cold, desolate dread settled deep within my soul. The air in the rookery seemed to thicken, pressing in on me, whispering of fates far worse than death. My solitude was no longer quiet. It was shared, and the whispers of Oakhaven, they were no longer mere superstitions. They were prophecies of my own unending nightmare. A malady had found its new host.